Hello, I'm Michael Bell, former fire chief of the city of Toledo and former mayor. What I'm going to do today is read a story about firefighters called Fly Guy Presents Firefighters by Ted Arnold. A boy had a pet fly named Fly Guy. Fly Guy could say the boy's name, Buzz. "I'm so excited to go to the fire station," said Buzz. Fly Guy looked scared. "Fire?" "Don't worry, Buzz. There's no fire inside. A fire station is where we find firefighters and fire trucks." Buzz and Fire Guy wanted to learn more. In the fire station, Fly Guy and Buzz met the fire chief. A fire chief is a firefighter who is in charge of the station. He gets a call when somebody pulls a fire alarm or dials 911. The fire chief is the person who is running all of the different people that you see on the trucks. And so the fire chief is extremely an important person, just like the firefighters, because somebody has to be able to tell them what they need to have happen at a fire. The fire chief learns what and where the emergency is, and then an alarm sounds at the station. Ring! Firefighters need to move fast. Firefighters rush to their trucks. Sometimes they slide down poles. This is a fast way for firefighters to get to the fire bay or garage. The firefighters slide down the poles, and you actually have to be trained to slide down those poles. You can't just automatically do it because you can get yourself hurt, and there have been people that have gotten hurt on these fire poles. So you have to really actually be trained to be able to do it the right way. Fire trucks and engines are parked in a bay or a garage. Each truck has special equipment that is used to put out fires. They have a fire axe. They have ropes so that they can rappel down if they have to. They have fire extinguishers for the little fires that they might have to put out. The fire trucks are always ready so that the firefighters can race to the scene. There's so much equipment on there, and they have to get there really quick. We're on our way. Firefighters keep their gear in the garage next to their trucks. It protects them and helps them to do their job. When there's an emergency, firefighters have to get dressed really fast. They put on their gear in less than 1 minute. Now, I know that sometimes when you get up in the morning and you're just waking up, that it's probably hard for you to get dressed in 1 minute. But firefighters who stay at the station for 24 hours and can get responses at any time, and they're allowed to sleep at night, they have to be able to get up and put their fire gear on and be out of the engine house in about a minute. Now imagine you trying to do that before you have your Wheaties in the morning. That could get a little difficult. So you also have the equipment that they have on are helmets that protect them from falling objects. They have special masks that help them breathe and seeing in smoke, but you really can't see in smoke unless you have a smoke imager, so the mask doesn't really help. You have to stay low, which you'll find out later on. You have an air tank on. You also have a fireproof gloves. You have fireproof pants. You have fireproof boots and other fire-related gear. All that gear weighs about 50 pounds, which is about how much you all weigh. So imagine them carrying 50 pounds of weight just to be able to go do their job. A fire truck needs to get to the fire fast so firefighters can put it out or extinguish it. Extinguish means to put the fire out. Fire trucks have loud sirens and flashing lights to warn other drivers that the fire truck is speeding through. Woo, 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 woo. Long ago, firefighters did not have trucks. Firefighters had horses or even fire dogs pull a pump and a hose on a big cart. There's a pump panel inside each truck. It controls the hoses. Every truck has a long hose and a tank filled with about 25 bathtubs full of water. Imagine that, 25 bathtubs full of water. Pumps push water through the hose at 1,000 gallons per minute. If the water runs out, firefighters can hook up their hoses to a fire hydrant. I know you've all seen those fire hydrants out there. A lot of them are red and they're yellow and they're multi-different colors. They normally sit on a corner and you're trying to figure out what those things are. That's to help the firefighters if there's a fire in your neighborhood. Firefighters carry a lot of extra tools to use in an emergency. Ladders and axes can help them reach somebody trapped in a burning building. Firefighters have lots of skills. Many firefighters have some medical training. They carry first aid kits to help people who are hurt. So a lot of the firefighters not only part of their job, at least in our area, is putting out fires. A large portion of what they do is medical, meaning that they learn how to help very sick people and get them to the hospitals and things like that. And so you have what they call emergency medical technicians, and you have paramedics, and those are all still firefighters, still responding to fires, but also being able to help people who are sick. Each fire truck has a tall ladder on top. The ladder extends and helps firefighters rescue people in tall buildings. Flying up would be a lot easier, but they have to climb a ladder. Yikes! The ladder can reach 100 feet up. That's about as tall as 5 giraffes stacked on top of each other. Imagine that, 5 giraffes stacked on each other. Firefighters use fire rescue boats to put out fires on water. Those are very difficult fires to put out. They fight fires from oil spills and fires on other boats. A lot of boats, they have gas and they have a lot of other things on it, so it's very important that they be able to know how to fight boat fires too, because a lot of times not only are you trying to protect the boat, you're trying to protect the people who are on the boat. For large fires like a forest fire, firefighters use helicopters. They have to use the helicopters because, remember, in forest fires, you're way back in wooded areas, and so it's very hard for the firefighters to get there. So while they're trying to make their way there, they can have these helicopters in front of them helping them out before they get there. Water and special firefighting chemicals are poured into the flames below. If you watch TV and you've been watching the California fires, you'll notice that sometimes it's orange and sometimes it's sort of white looking. If it's white looking, it's water. If it's orange, it's more like the chemicals that they're putting on it. Firefighters don't just put out fires, they sometimes rescue people and animals from other dangers like car accidents, blizzards, and floods. They do just about everything. Being a firefighter is an important and dangerous job. They do ice rescue, and ice rescue is really dangerous because sometimes you don't know which portion of the ice is really heavy enough to carry your weight, and sometimes it isn't, and you can fall into the water, so you got to be very careful there. Many firefighters are volunteers. That means that they don't necessarily get paid, but they still want to help their community. They're true public servants. That is really loyalty to your community, to be willing to volunteer without getting paid to be able to help somebody and actually put your life on the line. So those people are extremely special. It's not just firefighters that save lives. Some fire stations have specially trained fire dogs. And they're not called hot dogs, they're fire dogs. They help people who are trapped or injured in fires. Fire rescue dogs wear extra gear too. You have to be able to protect their paws. Firefighters help keep people safe, but they have to stay safe too. That's why they practice for all kinds of emergencies. They call these practices drills. In a safe area, they learn how to extinguish fires. This is like going to school for firefighters. It's like when you go to school and you have to learn different things, firefighters have to learn different things too. And so these training sessions, or drills as they call them, is how they keep their skills honed in. Firefighters train and exercise so that they can move quickly in dangerous situations. Yes, you have to be in good shape to be a firefighter, so they do a lot of exercises. A lot of times they do it at the station, and what you have to understand is that they live in those stations, so they have a lot of time to train and do the things that are necessary to be good at what they're doing. Fire drills are important, and not just for firefighters. Everyone should be ready for an emergency. Most fires are started by accident. So it's not done on purpose. It's an accident usually, but it still can get somebody hurt. So here are Buzz and Fly Guy's fire safety tips. Never play with matches or a lighter. You never want to do that. If a smoke alarm goes off, leave the building quickly and safely. Next, call 911. To escape during a fire, fall and crawl. The reason they say that, stay low beneath the smoke, is important. Because if you stay low, for one, it's going to be cooler closer to the ground. And secondly, the air is going to be closer to the ground. If you stand up, you have smoke all over you and you can't see for one, and you can't breathe. So the lower you stay, and firefighters do this when they attack fires, the easier it is for you to be able to get out and maybe even see a door as you're trying to get out. Stop, drop, and roll if clothing catches on fire. You don't want to be running. If your clothes catches on fire, if you're running, you just add more air to the clothes. So you don't want to do that. So what you want to do is stop, drop, and roll so that you can smother the fire out. Be ready and practice. Have a fire drill at home. Just like the firefighters train at the station, you should also train at home. Always call 911 in an emergency. Fires can often be prevented or stopped from happening at all if we are prepared. Firefighters have an amazing job, Buzz said. It is so cool that they help so many people and keep us safe. Yes! Buzz and Fly Guy cannot wait to go on another field trip. Maybe you might want to go on a field trip to a fire station yourself. Thank you. Where they talk about the dogs weren't used to pull the carts.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to change the book up. The
That's
dogs
fair.
were actually used back in the day because they could smell where the smoke was, and so they could direct them to the fire. So the dogs were running ahead to tell them where the fire was. You know, they had a scent to know where the fire was. Because remember, we didn't have geographical location points and things like that. So the dogs would get them to the fire.
Very
okay.
cool.
It didn't have the address, didn't have anything. It says follow the dog. You know. Here's another little interesting thing. Our fire trucks, for a long time, every time we would back in, and I don't know if you've ever watched them, they would always be washing the fire trucks the minute they would back in.
Yeah.
So when I think I might have been even a captain or chief, I asked the question. I said, "Why are we washing those trucks every time we go out?" Because some of these trucks, they make 20 runs a day. Mm-hmm. Okay, so why are you every time you come back? Well, nobody could tell me why. The reason they were washing the truck every time it came back in, because firefighters are traditional, is remember that before the trucks, they were doing it with horses. And then you had a period of time where you had the mechanical portion, and you still had the ones that were being used by the horses. So you had two different types. So the reason they were washing the trucks is to get the manure off the wheels. Okay? But for the longest, nobody switched that process. Yeah. I mean, we hadn't seen horses in 40 years, and we were still doing the same thing. Woo, 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 woo.